Hey, it's me. Yes, the same me who said I was quitting YouTube. Well, here I am again, because I got new pleasers. They're 7-inch iridescent booties, and I kind of wanted an excuse to try them out. I got a haircut, I chopped off 16 inches of hair, and now it's chin length and actually moves, and I wanted to show you. And I had an idea that I actually felt like turning into a video, so here we are. Today I'm going to talk about which pole moves are actually easier than they look, and which ones are actually way harder. Because most of pole dancing is just making hard shit look easy, but sometimes moves are actually secretly kind of easy. Not this one I'm showing you right here, that actually took me 2.5 years. So, hair gone, heels on, let's get started. First, some moves on my mortal nemesis, static pole. That means the pole does not turn with me, and that means we're starting off with a surprisingly hard move, the chair spin on static. I find that most static spins are much harder than they look because it's super tricky to get enough grip to hold you up on the pole, but also keep your grip loose enough that you can actually travel around it, and to get enough momentum to actually make your revolutions around it without flinging yourself off because you gave it too much oomph. You'll likely learn a spin like this in one of your first classes, and you'll likely be like, what the hell? Why is this so much harder than it seems? A spin that's actually easy is a back hook spin on static, especially with knee pads or some other fabric on, because you get a pretty solid grip with your inside armpit, and then as you fall back, your knee naturally wants to hook to help you spin until you reach the ground. Unlike the chair spin, which requires holding your weight out and away from the pole with just your hands, this one lets you rely on those handy arm and knee pits, and is therefore much more accessible to a lot of people just starting out. But it looks impressive. Back to the hard stuff. Any sort of sexy little move where you're at the base of the pole and you push up to standing is just so much harder than it seems, especially in heels. You'll think, it's just standing, and then you try to do it and it's like, what is going on? Another sneaky little difficult thing is a body wave body roll. Ooh, you're snaking your body towards and away from the pole, all seductively. Ooh, look at you undulating. Ooh, look at you not realizing until watching your footage back that, yeah, maybe you don't have it exactly right. That's what I'm saying about static stuff. A lot of it is the sexy, slinky kind of stuff that seems incredibly easy until you get up there and do it yourself. To quote the scholar Rebecca Bunch, "Body rolls are really hard." One final static move that I'd say is easier than you'd think, the pole sit. Now, I don't mean to equate easy with it feels good, because when you start out, a pole sit feels like the devil himself is rising up through the pole to fry your inner thighs with a hot curling iron. But once you get the feel of how your weight catches, letting your hands go feels surprisingly natural. Trust me on this one, when you're performing for an audience, a simple sit is a showstopper, because it seems like you're doing the most, but you're pretty much doing the least. Now over to my best friend, spin pole. I'm patting on a shit ton of eye tack because even the easy moves on spin require a lot of grip, which is a good time to remind you that pole dancing can be extremely different for everybody, and if you think something I'm calling easy is really hard, you're probably right. I'm not doing this to brag about how good I am, just to point out some surprisingly simple tricks and their opposites, surprisingly difficult ones. The first relatively easy move we've got, if I can manage to hook my leg without falling over in my shoes, is the Jasmine. It looks kind of hardcore because after you hook your inside knee and bring the pole into position along the top of your outer thigh, you're basically horizontal to the ground, which is a crowd pleaser just like the sit. It's like, whoa, I was expecting your body to be upright, but now you're parallel to the ground. But just like the back hook, having the pole in your knee pit provides pretty dang good grip, and it's easy to stay in a Jasmine or its varieties for as long as you want. Dismounting is still awkward sometimes, okay? Speaking of knee pit grip, what I call a side spin is also surprisingly easy, like much easier than a chair spin, even though they look roughly equivalent. Hooking that inside leg and then lifting up as you spin around looks great and keeps you on, and nobody needs to know that it's much more reliable than, oh, let's say, a fairy spin. Yes, folks, now is when I confess to you that I still can't really do a fairy spin, where you hook your front ankle around the pole and stag your legs out as you spin. My back leg does not want to participate. It can't figure out what it's doing, and that's because beginner spins that force you to face into the pole have pretty tricky momentum, and you'll probably be too busy trying to keep your face from smacking into the pole to focus on bending your legs the right way. And by you, I mean me. It's time to talk about the king of weirdly hard moves, the teddy. Theoretically, you stand side onto the pole, crunch up like you're doing a knee tuck, and grab your leg, creating a grip with your inner arm while you show off your crotch or whatever the point of a teddy is. I'm just saying, not only are these ugly, but they are impossible if you sweat like at all, which of course I do. One single H2O molecule in your armpits, and you can kiss the possibility of getting into your teddy goodbye. You know, I'm about to talk about more hard shit because I'm getting the mat out, and the only thing more awkward than trying to navigate a mat in heels, because you want to keep the heels on for the video but also don't want to die trying moves that you know you struggle with, is the side saddle Superman. Here's a move invented by someone whose ass is made of Gorilla Glue, because what even is this? You hook both knees for a genie and then twist towards the ground and hope shoving the pole against a cheek keeps you on. It looks like all you need to do is turn a little, and it feels like all you need to do is pray a lot. Meanwhile, a surprisingly easy, but not for everyone, move is a cross-ankle layback, which starts from climbing the pole. I said you start from climbing the pole. This is when I should point out that just gripping the damn pole is the hardest part of the whole sport. The thing that looks like it should be so easy, like, just grab it! But anyway, yes, laybacks are super scary, and yes, you will see me do the sloppiest dismount bail with my head safely tucked of all time, because I didn't trust being able to climb back out of it with these boots on, in case they suddenly slipped against one another. But if you have big thighs and a willingness to squeeze them, laybacks are actually pretty simple, and are sometimes taught in beginner classes, believe it or not. I guess that depends on how good your teacher is at spotting. Ahem. The hardest thing that looks easy is an inversion. There, I said it. Inversions are hard. Now my secret is out. Now, if you know me, you know I've been saying this forever and a day. Inversions are hard as hell. Getting your lower half, which for a lot of people is significantly heavier than their upper half, above your head safely without jumping is extremely difficult. So difficult that I had to take off my heels and get serious. Woof, these shoes are sweaty now. Here, smell. I will prove how hard inversions are by showing you my other side. I'm not exaggerating for the sake of the video, I really do still struggle to invert consistently on both sides, and I've been at this for 2.5 years. And then once you're upside down, everything feels so much harder because it's like, wait, what limb is supposed to move? Am I about to break my neck? Me bailing out of a caterpillar climb for reference. A move that is exactly as hard as you'd think is the Superman. It doesn't look easy, and let me tell you, it doesn't feel easy either. As you bring your torso towards the floor and your hooked leg around, there's always a feeling that you're just gonna pitch forward and smash your face. It's hard to get the pole shoved into your junk at a good angle, and it's hard to dismount. It's hard. There's a reason I made a whole ass video about my struggle to get this one move. Let's finish off with one more is as hard as it looks move, and that's the ballerina, which I also made a whole ass video about. Your torso ends up weirdly twisted around the pole, and if you try to add a foot grab or slide your shoulder down for a different angle, you are in for a world of hurt. It's the fact that this move looks so pretty that's deceiving. So there, me ranting for like 10 minutes that pole dancing is hard, while occasionally acknowledging that sometimes it's just a little easier than hard. Okay, bye!